Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another video from Mortal Kombat 11. This time I want to go ahead and focus on something a little different. I want to focus on pokes and frame trapping in this game, and I don't just mean with Cetrion. Like, I'll do something like related to her a little later. But I've noticed a lot of things, and like a lot of players are doing that are new to this game or come from other games, and sometimes they're doing a lot of this stuff with down ones and like avoiding certain pokes. You could use situations with frame traps. They could use and I'll go ahead and show the examples that I've seen and ones I'm pretty sure a lot of you are very common with, and how you could change your play a little bit. I was helping a teammate recently, and he was really, when he was playing me in a local, we were playing casuals, and he was really unaware with how you could really approach the neutral with different methods than what he was doing. So to stop sounding like very vague, I'm going to go ahead and get into what I mean. A lot of players in this game, if you have noticed, are very keen on down ones, because down one is like the true frame trap essence to what everybody wants to use. Now, as I said, this video is going to be covering ways to do frame traps and set up pokes to hit advantage and stuff like that you can use to make yourself a more smarter player to avoid randomness. At least that's the way I like to play Cetrion, so I want to help any of you who are looking to play her that way, or the game in general with that. Now, if you're more advanced, you can skip this video because you at least know what you want to be doing. If you're at least new to the Mortal Kombat series, or at least new to fundamentals like frame trapping and technology like that, then you can go ahead and still watch this video and share with anybody else that you know, of a friend of yours that may be struggling. So anyway, let's continue. So first of all, when you play crouch pokes with an opponent, down one is the typical that everybody wants to use, and followed by down two. Now, here's the issue with that. A lot of players you can see, or that I have seen, they'll do a down one and then do another down one after that. They want to keep the pressure with the frame trap. Here's the bad thing about any players you see, especially if you're new to this game. You see a lot of people do like this. Like, let's say they will do forward two and dash up down one, and then you're both in a situation where you're both just let me see, where you're kind of both just like doing this to each other, seeing who can land a down one and going for uppercuts, and then one of you will randomly go for a throw. Like, that's not the way you want to do it. So I'm going to show you the best way to apply pressure. You can use the down one as well, but I'm going to show you the best way to avoid trying to get into bad patterns like that, so you can avoid being randomly uppercut, or I don't know, fatal blow or anything like that that you can avoid. Alright, so first of all, when you get close to your opponent, you're going to notice down one, look at your hit advantage there. Your hit advantage is +10, and your startup is 8 frames. And the cool thing I like about that, the game has that on screen. So you know it's 8 frames. Now you notice the move is +10 on hit. Now let's say I hit him with that and I want to lock him down again. You are now at -5. And that there is the reason why you don't want to spam it. You don't want to go from hit advantage of +10 to trying to double or nothing your chances to keep them there and give yourself disadvantage. You're now -5 when you were +10 on hit. You know, you're just putting yourself in a situation where your opponent can outpoke you, or one of you is going to try to take a risk and, like I said, end up getting, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have had this happen to you in situations where you're both just doing this, and someone wants to do this and risk an uppercut, one whiffs, the other one lands it, like, and then someone will eventually go for a throw. You know, and it's not the best way to handle these situations. So what you want to do is, when you see your +10 on hit, you want to see what moves of yours can be at least 9 or 10 frames on startup to keep your frame advantage. See, this move here is 9 frames. So what that basically means is, off the hit, this is going to whiff. However, if you do 2-1, that is a mid. So this is a frame trap you can use. Right there. It can jail them once you hit the move. So the Scarlet's hitbox is a little off. She's blocking it sometimes, and sometimes she's not. But right there, and see, now you're at -1 instead of being at -5. So it's a way to use a frame trap in a situation for yourself. Now that's a common frame trap I use with Cetrion, and I'm gonna show you other ways you can explore it. You want to land your down one, and you kind of want to back up. Your opponent is always going to try to either counter poke with you or swing. So you can set a frame trap, or you can bait. So of course I can't get her to be baited on a move. I'm not going to put her on reversal because I'm blocking my -5, so I can't avoid whatever she's gonna do. I can block it, but I can't avoid it with a backdash or anything like that. I'm gonna have to take it. But on hit advantage, of course, there's no reversal. She's gonna have to take that. So in these situations, you tell yourself, all right, well, down 1 is I have to get super close. You know, this is more or less like 1, 2, dash up, you know, what are you on 2-1? You're a plus 12 on hit. And down 1 is 8 frames. So you could risk something like dash up and try to check them. Now that's going to be at disadvantage. Now here's the thing about the way down 1s work. When you land a move like a down 1 or a 2-1, your opponent is going to cross block. And the reason is because they know that down 1 is coming. Since you know that they know that, there's no reason to put yourself at disadvantage knowing they are going to block your attack. So let's say I did this and I walked up and did that. My opponent is going to block that down 1 because they're not going to press a... Oh, sorry about that. I had some audio issues. Anyway, so as I was saying, if you land a 4, 2, and 3, your opponent is going to cross block because your hit advantage plus 11, and of course you can special cancel any way you want to. Oh, I'm using the variation. I'm using the wrong variation, but anyway. So what you can do is if you're, you know, because basically your down 1 is like your fastest poke. So your opponent knows if you do this, it's very common to do that to keep your opponent there. However, as I stated, you will be at disadvantage. So these are the times where you can continue a combo, use the plus 11 to continue pressure. So my down 4 is 10 frame startup, so that's another poke you can use with hit advantage, but we will discuss that in a second. So once you land this, you can try going for throws. Right, so your opponent's going to cross there, but of course, in an actual match, they usually won't because they're expecting to block that down 1, so you will get your throw off. But that's pretty much what I wanted to cover on that with down 1s. A lot of the time is either you're going to press it or if your opponent knows you're going to press it. Like if you get this, go for any other quick poke you have. You can even try jumping if your opponent isn't ready for it, because your recoveries off down 1 hits can lead to jumps and other attacks. And of course throws are always a good advantage. You can even take a risk and try that. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to another solid poke here. Okay, so another poke that you want to be using when you're testing out advantage. So when you're playing neutral, of course, feel out your character's pokes. With Cetrion, one of your best pokes is forward 2. Now forward 2 is 14 frame startup. It is plus 9 on hit. Now we know stand 2 is 9 frames on startup, so that can jail. Now of course, since they are on, what is it, plus 9 on hit and 9 frame startup, this may not jail on every character. I'm assuming I'm gonna have to test it, but I'm assuming it'll be neutral so they can duck it before you can jail them with it. So I'm gonna have to do Cetrion versus Cetrion to do that. So give me a second. This is usually how you want to do these training mode sessions anyways, use the same character. So if you're going over an example, you can prove it to yourself, and I'll switch to the right variation this time. There we go. I go back to the same stage. But yes, this video is just to cover the topics of neutral and frame advantage. Alright, so we're gonna have her do forward 2 and then into stand 2. I'm gonna try to do it as fast as I can. It should be this one, right? Okay. Now see, if I crouch block that, then I'm gonna take that 2. If I don't, then that's gonna happen. Now of course that's assuming if you believe that 2 is going to be the follow-up option. That doesn't always mean people are gonna frame trap you with the same situation. I could land this and then land that. You see, I am off by a frame. There's a 1 frame gap there. It's not much of a big deal, but your opponent can at least your opponent can at least walk backwards to avoid the throw, or you know, probably uppercut you. But so yeah, plus 9 and throws at 10 frames. So if your opponent's gonna duck, like I said, once again, get familiar with how your opponent's getting baited. So if you press this, your opponent is gonna hold block because they're expecting down 1 or anything crazy, sometimes like maybe a jump, but specifically down 1 is what they're gonna expect. So I'm not saying they won't break the throw. They may have to option select. If you can mash If your opponent wants to try to counter poke you thinking that move isn't safe, the option select of down 1 will break that throw if you try to throw them forward. Anyway, let's move on to, as we were talking about pokes. So forward 2 is one of her more linear pokes. Good frame advantage to hit, and of course, some of her best pressure and combos come from this. Let's move on to another good poke. Forward 1. This one is not as solid, but I see at the same time at 9 frames, you can use this one as well to check your opponent. You just have to be quick. And of course, once again, if they expect that and they crouch block thinking the down 1 is going to follow that, then they will be jailed. And that move is -4. And of course, -4 is not punishable, but you are at a distance for your opponent to at least try to counter with something. Usually it'll be a down 1. But that is also up to you to keep them there or keep them out. All up to you. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover on the hit advantage of forward 2 and forward 1. Now let's go ahead and look at the down 4. Now this is where the meat goes for a lot of characters. What you want to do is every time you get in the lab, you want to test your down 1, your down 4, your down 3. Your down 2 is, you know, whatever. Everybody's using down 2 because it's like the best thing to use when you're in a situation where you're both just mashing down 1s to each other or going for throws. Now down 3 and down 4 are treasures, hidden treasures people aren't using enough of in this game. And one situation that I cannot stand seeing is, as I mentioned earlier, people just sitting down on hit advantage, spamming down 1s, or just trying to trade with each other to get the advantage. Understand, you can't land anything off a down 1. That isn't even a combo. So no matter how much hit advantage you have, you will gain nothing from it. I mean, some characters can get something interesting, like maybe a command grab if their advantage is quick enough. And like, see with her, that's plus 10, and throws are 10 frames. That's usually why down 1s. That's usually why down 1 people will do down 1 into throw, because usually the advantage will go anywhere from 10 to 11 on hit. That's why you see down 1 and the throw are very common. Now, of course, the other options you can use here when you're trying to avoid those trades is your down 3 and your down 4. Now let's go ahead and look at down 4. Down 4 is one of my favorite pokes to use when people are getting a little too close, because this is, of course, is a good option, but of course if you meter burn it, or if they block the meter burn of the regular version, you'll get punished. So mixing it up between forward 2, down 4, and forward 1 are always good ways to keep your opponent in check. Down 1, if you need to use it, as has a decent little hitbox on it, as it get kind of close, but yeah, of course. So let's talk about down 4. Down 4 is a good poke that leaves you at plus 16 on hit. So that means you can do quite a couple things. If you land a down 4, a forward 2 is going to jail them. So you have another option. You can say, okay, let's say they hold crouch. You have that option. You know they're going to duck. And then, of course, if you block this, is -10. So your opponent can at least throw you or crouch jab that. So when you land down 4, your options open up. You can also dash up throw. That's a pretty good option you can use as well. It's not the best because really solid players will see the dash and know you've lost your frame advantage and try to counter poke you. But it's an option you can use if you're playing a good mix-up game. Of course, your best option is to use your best poke that'll follow that and set you on. This is a sequence she is able to use, and you're still at -4 and you are nowhere near your opponent, so they can eat another down 4. Or if you're smart, you can also probably land one of those at the distance you're at and back up. Because once you land this, you don't have to commit. Look at the range you're at. Your opponent is not going to punish you off a -4, and they're that far. If they are crouching and trying to go for a down 1, you can back up and get a full combo off that. And of course, if they decide to jump, you have the advantage. You can anti-air. And if they try to get random, check them with down 4s. And the good thing about putting people in a situation like this is you can back up and have all the space you need to bait the next move. That's one of the reasons I like to play neutral a lot in games like this. I was a master of that in Mortal Kombat 9. I like to always see what my character's moves and pokes are and really maintain my distance, because you always want to keep them at an uppercut range, move in and out at down 4 range, and your best poke range. Not every character is going to have really good linear pokes, so get familiar with your character, because sometimes if they don't have a good forward 2 or forward 1 move similar to like hers, Then down fours are really good for characters, you know, like Baraka, Johnny Cage, Kano. Those down fours are really linear and they're very far and they're very good. She doesn't have a super good down four, but if you hit it, it of course will give you advantage. Now, as well as same thing as I said before, these do not combo. Crouch pokes give you advantage, and you want to use these to any kind of mix-up potential you may desire. I started to learn this option back in Mortal Kombat 9. I used to play sets with friends of mine, and they recommended using down 4 a lot more, especially when I played Scarlet back then, because down 4 with her into slide gave me a lot more advantage on hit. So in some situations where I would do down 4 and dash up, I could do her throw mix-up, or her 2-3 into EX dagger dash forward for all that crazy pressure from Mortal Kombat 9. Anyway, off topic. So let's move on to down 3s. Now down 3s are going to be iffy for some characters. Some characters down 3s are really good. Some characters down 3s are very, very bad. Like Baraka has like the old down 3 leg flinch from MK9. So my down 3 looks a little like my down 4. Now my down 3 is only plus 10 on hit, but I am directly in front of my opponent. So, but see, a little more range, it lets you know that for Cetrion, if you're at this poke range, your down 3 is only a frame off of your down 1. So your down 3 might be a better option in these situations if you back up. See, as a down 1 might whiff, a down 3 or down 4 can catch. So your down 3 will lead the same jail opportunities as you were getting before. So let's see. Let's look more into advantage off these attacks. 10 frames and 16 frames. So many great options. One thing I like to do is go for that. That's a gimmick, but because of the advantage, if I push them back far enough, they will usually block that. Or, you know, if you're playing a really seasoned player, they will counter it. So don't try to use that too often, but it's a smart move I like to throw in sometimes. They don't expect it. And of course, you can also mix in teleports too if your opponent is trying to get messy. This, of course, is referring to Cetrion and maybe Raiden if you use him. So let's go ahead and take a look at a different character. Let's keep you guys on board here. So let's look at a very common character and see what our frame advantage with him is. Let's look at Scorpion against, let's say, Jax. Alright, we'll do the basic beta stage. Alright, so let's go ahead real quick, and after we moved up for Cetrion, let's look at his. His down 3, 8 frames, not a lot of range. Down 4, very good, 11 frame startup, and his down 1 is not the best. 7 frames is good for counter poking, but we can see what advantage we have after that. So down 3 and down 4 is really good when you're moving back and forth and the pace and the space you want to be at to check your opponent who is not blocking low. And of course, if they are blocking low a little too much, you can risk some jumps or walk up throws. Very common in NRS neutral play. So my down 4 is plus 19 on hit. So let's take a look at one of my favorite pokes with him is 4-3. 4-3 is 13 frames. See, it doesn't hit, but sometimes you can micro walk up knowing they're gonna block that. And you can lead yourself into pressure. -7 and your opponent is too far from you to do anything. So you can risk walking up down 4 again. So you can have this kind of sequence. And that'll always work. As long as you're patient with it and keep your spacing. Now let's look at your down 3. Down 3 is 11 frames on hit. Let's look at my 2-1. My 2-1, 9 frames. That's a jail. They have to take that. And that's plus 2 on block. So if you land your down 1 as well, you're at 10 frames there. And this is 9 frames. So once again, if you are counter poking with down 1 and you land it, you can force them to take that frame trap and start going for throws. Do a down 3, walk up throw. These are creations and sequences you can put together for perfect frame trapping and throw baiting. This is just a short video, like I said, I wanted to put together for anyone out there that is suffering in neutral and is only relying on down 1 or down 2. down 3 and down 4 are golden treasures, and they can create great opportunities for you to open up your offense when you are playing neutral. Once again, this has been Tatum Pro Gaming, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and leave a like or any comment you would like. And I hope I can make further videos in the future to continue to help grow the success of this game. Thank you for watching.